Every time a Japanese author serves me a plate of a cozy book that has a cat on the cover, I will be eating that up and leaving no crumbs on the table, I promise. Mwah. Yo! What's up, dumplings, and welcome to my reading recommendations video. Now, this has been requested before and the season has finally come. Reading season. Yay! Iconic TV shows like Gossip Girl, The Vampire Diaries, Gilmore Girls have finally defrosted for the autumn time. Do you know what's even more iconic than watching those iconic TV shows? Reading. Yeah. Oh, read, girl! Knowledge is power, kids, remember that. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, because you know what, folks? It smells like fall.
Get out.
I have separated the recommendations that I'm giving you guys into 3 categories that fall under the name of cat. Cozy, alarming, trick, treat. First up, we have the Full Moon Coffee Shop. Just take a good look at the cover and you know it's a perfect full-time read. It's so cozy, look at it. I will be transparent when I say this, but I do judge a book by its cover. I love art, and genuinely that is what book covers are. They need to summarize the whole aesthetic of the whole book in just like one picture, and I love that about it. Nothing less than perfect will be tolerated when it comes to book covers, in my opinion. It follows the story of a coffee shop that appears on a full moon. Duh. And it basically appears when it's the right time for a person to see it, and the dish that they end up serving them at the coffee shop reflects the situation that they're going through. They basically give you what you need and when you need it. And it does follow different stories. I love it when books have different stories from different perspectives and then they all end up coming together in the end, which is what happens in this book. There is currently a trend going on with Japanese books where they all have cats in the covers and they all revolve around a bookstore or a coffee shop or a restaurant or a convenience store. I love that trend. I personally don't get sick of that trend as long as there's a little spice to the actual plot of the book, and this book has it. If you are into astrology, then you will definitely like this book. Under a glittering full moon, a Kyoto coffee shop appears only where and when it's needed. It's run by talking cats, serving delicious desserts and age-old astrological wisdom. What you're looking for is in the library. Apparently, they are all Japanese bestsellers when it comes to this. This one though, this is a bestseller. I don't care. I love this book so much. I ended up buying the hardcover. I don't know why. I've never actually seen if there's a non-hardcover version. Follows a similar vibe from the Full Moon Coffee Shop, except this one is set in a library. And you know, libraries equal full-time, it equals academia, it equals cozy, it equals Rory Gilmore. On the back it says, library. What a nice sounding word. So comforting. I feel like I'm a student again. Library. ... Am I allowed to borrow books? When I picked up this book, I was definitely pleasantly surprised. It follows a lot of characters that are lost, and what I love about these books is that the characters, most of them at least, are not in high school, they're adults figuring life out. In Komachi's unique book recommendation, they will find just what they need to achieve their dreams. Follows different stories. Each character goes to this library for some reason or another. They are basically prescribed a book. Each book ends up changing their life. Librarian inside of this book is literally magical. I wish I could meet her. Like, Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer needs to take notes from her. Sometimes when you start reading, you don't want to start with the heavy stuff. You want something more, you know, healing, especially if you're stressed with school, work, or anything else. You would think this is very similar to the 2 books that I introduced previously, but this is actually quite different. We have a main character inside of this book. You don't switch between different characters. I don't want to spoil too much, but something happens to our main character at the very beginning. Causes her to, you know, go off the rails a little bit, feel a little bit insecure. She ends up going to the Morisaki bookshop, which is owned by her uncle. She ends up living there and helping out. This gives me Gilmore Girl vibes in terms of the community sense that you get in this, falling in love with the different characters that live live around the bookshop and the weird characters that visit the bookshop and stuff like that. It does have that cozy town feeling. Wow, she ends up living in a bookshop. Like, how cute is that? From the beginning of summer to early spring, I lived at the Morisaki bookshop. I spent that period of my life in the spare room on the second floor of the store trying to bury myself in books. It's a girl that ends up discovering herself and she's not in high school. Yay! There's nothing wrong with characters being in high school, but after you have graduated, you sort of want to read books with people, you know, more grown. And if you do end up falling in love with this book like I did, there is actually a second part called More Days at the Morisaki bookshop. For some reason, the second part was a little bit more heavy. If you're stressed doing placements like my friends, this book is a great escape for you. Final recommendation from the cozy category, 𝐸𝐚𝐥𝐬 Smiley Laundromat. This one definitely has some spice into it. So the previous books were obviously Japanese writers. I have been reading a lot of cozy Japanese books because they just do it right. They know how to do it. Every time a Japanese author serves me a plate of a cozy book that has a cat on the cover, I will eat that up. I will be eating that up and leaving no crumbs on the table, I promise. This one, as you can tell from the 𝐸𝐸𝐸 in the title, is not Japanese. This is actually a Korean book. And I haven't read that many books by Korean authors. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, we have cats. This falls under my cat category, so we'll be reading. If you've seen the K-drama Summer Strike, I love that. This kind of reminded me of it, not gonna lie. So again, you follow different stories, different plot lines that all end up meeting each other at the very end. Tiny spoiler alert! There is this random murder mystery plot that occurs out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that, and it gave me a little bit of spooky Halloween-y vibes, which is why I ended up adding it to today's category instead of some other books. But yeah, that was very unexpected. Same thing happens in, spoiler alert, Summer Strike. There's a random murder mystery plotline out of nowhere. One by one, customers start jotting down candid diary entries, opening their hearts and inviting acts of kindness from neighbors who were once just faces in the crowd. Situated at the heart of Seoul City. In Seoul City. And I've been in Seoul myself, so it was really easy for me to imagine or immerse myself into the book. So if you've been to Seoul in Korea, then you might like this. Story number 2, alarming. Whoop whoop is the sound of the police. Yeah, it's American Psycho. You would be like, Eddie, what's wrong with you? This is not a cozy book. Well, you are wrong. I find this book to be perfect for the fall-autumn time. It also can be quite cozy. This is definitely not a light read, so trigger warning if you do end up wanting to read this. If you're quite young, you might wanna double think that. It is so hard not to be drawn into the absolute insanity of this book. Some of the things mentioned inside of it are obviously very disturbing, very disgusting, you may say. This is one of my favorite books, and liking this book does not mean that you like the characters inside of it or the actions that they do. What I like about this book is that it's so insane. Like, it actually made me get into the mind of an absolute psycho. It makes you think, am I psycho for actually liking this? No, because it doesn't mean you support any of the actions they did. It's fiction. Remember guys, it's fiction. The reason why I'm bringing up American Psycho in today's video is because it does give me full-time vibes. It's based in New York, which, you know, is very iconic for the full-time coziness. We have Sex and the City, we have Gossip Girl being based there, and they're both very full-time classics, I'd say. And it's also very disturbing, so if you're in the mood for something more spooky, Halloween vibes, I definitely recommend checking out American Psycho. If you do want to prepare yourself for how disturbing this book might be, then watch the movie. But let me tell you, this is way more disturbing than the movie, especially if you read the end chapters. Like, I was finishing up this book, I was sitting on a train. The things were so fucked up that were inside of this, so I wanted to make sure nobody's actually reading it behind me that shouldn't be reading this stuff. Patrick Bateman has it all: good looks, youth, charm, a job on Wall Street, and reservations at every new restaurant in town. He's also a psychopath. A man addicted to his superficial perfect life, he pulls into a dark underworld where the American dream becomes a nightmare. This is basically Sex and the City if Carrie was played by a man. It's a dark comedy, a very, very dark comedy. What's even more insane about this book is that the main character in the movie is played by Christian Bale. Christian Bale is also the English voicing for Howell in Howl's Moving Castle. So I can't help but hear Howl's voice every time I read this book. And that is very meta. It feels very crazy to me. Trick category, we have 3 books that fall under this one. The Bell Jar, set in the summertime, but it's in New York City. And also, it's much darker than you would anticipate. It's quite mysterious. I haven't finished reading The Bell Jar, which is why I can't say too much about it. If you love 10 Things I Hate About You, there's this one specific scene where Kat from 10 Things I Hate About You is reading The Bell Jar. And when I started reading it, it all makes sense why Kat will be reading this. It is set in the 50s, so you know the views on some things are very old school, but at the same time it's a little bit ahead of its time. The main character is a young independent woman in New York City on an internship. It gives Devil Wears Prada vibes. Working as an intern for a New York fashion magazine in the summer of 1953, Esther Greenwood is on the brink of her future. Yet she is also at the edge of a darkness that makes her world increasingly unreal. Sex and the City gone even more insane. Big is going to Paris and we are going to be reading this. So this is my current full-time read. If you want to join me, then read it with me and we can talk about it when I'm actually finished reading it. My list. This is a murder mystery and I read it a few years ago and I don't really remember what happens inside of it, but I remember liking it a lot. And I figured you need to have a murder mystery for the full time, and this is one. This has good rating on Goodreads. It was recommended by Lino from Stray Kids. So if you like Stray Kids and if you like Lino, then you should probably read this. Stay educated or he will come for you. His body is found in his office in a locked room within his locked house. Locked up, they said. He was found by his wife and best friend, both of whom have rock-solid alibis, or so it seems. I genuinely wish I could remember. I have really bad memory, so the fact that I don't really remember what happens doesn't mean that it's a bad book. It just means I need to work on my memory loss. The cover is also quite cool. I love the little spice of cherry blossom. I assume it's because it's by a Japanese author, so they're like, yeah, Japan, cherry blossom. I don't know. The lady on the cover has a bob and she has a trench coat, and that is always a serve. What can I say, Bob? Is your name B.O.B? So they started calling you Bob. I will say that anytime Bob is mentioned. Final book for this category is If Cats Disappeared from the World. Very bittersweet. This is one of my favorite book covers ever. The cat, the way it's painted and the gold writing that's reflective and just the beigey off-white color. Love it. I love it. This, don't tell me this is not perfect Halloween decoration, just saying. Not only it's beautiful on the outside, it's beautiful on the inside, and I stand by that. It's weird because it's a cozy book, but it's more on the heavy side. I don't know if the movie was made first or the book. I assume the movie was made after the book. Either way, there is a movie that I haven't seen yet, so when I watch it, I'll give my letterboxd review. What would you sacrifice for an extra day of life? Devil picked that moment to announce in his usual cheerful manner the next item he'd make disappear. This book also reminded me of Alice in Borderland. For some reason in Japan they cast Kento Yamazaki for everything, so I imagined Kento being the main character. Inside of this book definitely has some philosophical sprinkles on top of it. I don't want to spoil anything, so read it for yourself. I recommend. I say it's good for the fall. It has a pretty cover. I also gifted it to another one of my friends that doesn't really read ever. She's a medical student, so she's very busy doing that. And she ended up starting this and she was like, wait, I actually like this, so. And the very final book in the treat category is something that you should treat yourself with, and that is a gentle reminder. When it comes to fall/winter time, a lot of people do get seasonal depression. I know I have suffered from it before. I've suffered from normal depression and seasonal depression. A double hit, I know. And when I was going through a really tough time a few years back, all I could read was self-help books, and this is one of the ones that definitely stuck with me. I love the way the writing in this book is done, and there's a few quotes that are, you know, made really, really big that feel very important. It's a healing, easy thing to read. Be proud of the way that you fought to save yourself. I love that one, not gonna lie, because don't tell me you haven't gone through a tough time. Everybody has gone through a tough time, and the fact that you made it out, props on you. Bravo. Bonus part for this video, which is I'm gonna take a quiz and we're gonna find out which season I am. Okay, so I found this quiz called Create a friend group using Gilmore Girls characters and we'll determine which season you are. I don't know, we're gonna see how that goes. Choose a Gilmore to be friends with. I would wanna try and be friends with Emily. Like, she can be so funny sometimes. Like, she's deadass so funny sometimes. But if I could pick any of them, it will, you know, Lorelai. Like, she's so fun. How can you not choose Lorelai? Choose one of Lorelai's employees to be friends with. Michelle would be so funny to, you know, play cat and dog with. Like, he's just gonna bark at you the entire time, and I kind of like that. But Suki is so cute. Like, Suki is that friend. Suki is such a good friend. Like, even when Lorelai was being rude to her, she was so nice. Either way, she was the bigger person, and I love that. Choose one of Rory's friends to hang out with. Low-key love them all, but I'm gonna have to say Lane. Like, Lane has incredible music taste. We all know that the downfall of Lane is just inexcusable, so I would like to be friends with Lane and sort of guide her into staying a baddie. Choose a female Stars Hollow resident to be friends. Miss Patty's gonna just talk behind my back the entire time, but you know what they say, keep your enemies closer. But I wanna be friends with Mrs. Kim. Mrs. Kim kinda eats. She is actually so funny. She is an icon in disguise. Choose a male Stars Hollow resident to hang out with. Luke is just gonna judge me the entire time. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say Kirk. I want to be a part of his movies. I will be your movie girl, Kirk. Choose someone who had a crush or dated Rory at one point to be friends. Dean, Jess, Marty, Logan. Why is Marty there? To be friends? Can Jess be friends with anyone? Logan's friend group is low-key toxic, but him on his own can be an okay friend. So either Logan or Jess. Logan will have some good spicy connections to the New York elite world, and I want to get into that Gossip Girl vibe, so why not? Lastly, choose one of Lorelai's exes to hang out with. My girl, she definitely not Jason. He pissed me off. Alex seemed chill. Christopher, I don't want to be friends with. I don't want to hang out with any of them. Who's the least problematic person to hang out with here? Alex? I don't even remember him, so why not? Winter? That is so not true. No, guys, this is not. I always thought myself as a summer spring vibe. No, don't take this quiz, it's not right. If you think you know me well enough, tell me what season I am. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked the recommendations that I gave you. There are some other books I wanted to recommend, but I feel like they fit more of the winter vibe more, so I'm gonna wait until winter comes to give you the winter book recommendations. If you have read any of these, then let me know what you thought about them in the comments. Thank you for watching! Bye!